So we're only missing 2 teams. So we're in a pretty good, started by you, let everyone know. I'm supposed to let everybody know you're being recorded. So there we go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and kick this thing off here. I'll start it off, and then I'll get to a certain slide in here in a few minutes. I'm gonna turn it over to Sunil. But first of all, I'm just gonna share my slides here, make sure everybody can see them. And they're going to look very similar to previous years there, Sunil. The details may change, but overall the same slide deck essentially. So welcome everybody to the 2026 Autonomous Snowplow Competition. I am recording this video here, this presentation. I will post the video in its entirety on YouTube when I'm done, and then I'll send it out to all the teams, because I do know I have 2 teams that are not online right now, but I also know that it's possible they may join the meeting here in the next few minutes. So if you didn't already know, the competition is scheduled for January 16th and 17th at Dunwoody College in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Any of the details are going to start to come together really, really quick after this meeting. Meaning in this slide deck, there's already a new map of the course. And Sunil and his team are finalizing the rule book right now. So what I want you to do is make sure you are looking at this website, www.autosnowplow.com, on a fairly regular basis. And then I will continue, as long as it's not making anybody angry, I will continue to send out 1 email a week on Mondays typically. And that will just be a weekly update. So if there's anything new, I will include it. Hey, we got a new team involved, or hey, I need you guys to fill out this document, or hey, we had a slight change in schedule, or whatever the case is. All of that will come out through the weekly updates is what will come out. The good news for this year, we are going to have a nice slate of teams here. There are right now 11 teams, and I have 1 that is pending right now. So Lake Area Tech is still on the fence. I don't have anybody from Lake Area Tech on the call, do I? I don't think so. But Lake Area Tech is still on the fence. They've been a competitor over the years. But as it stands right now, we are looking at 11 teams. So North Dakota State College of Science, Case Western Reserve University, Iowa State, Laval University out of Quebec, Stuttgart, University of Stuttgart out of Germany, University of Wisconsin out of Madison, Wisconsin, North Dakota State University team HighFlex, which has competed for several years now. North Dakota State University, I'm pretty confident Ian and his crew up there are going to come up with a second vehicle that they're going to drag down this year. And then as it stands right now, there are 3 Dunwoody teams, but at any given moment, one of them is breaking their motor controller or has a flat tire or something. So we'll see if all 3 of them can actually survive the build up to the season here. But that's 11 if we get everybody, and potentially 12 with Lake Area Tech. So this could be a really, really good snowplow competition this year. I'm going to talk a little bit about the venue. So what you'll notice is I kind of am the master of ceremonies as far as the venue is concerned. And then Sunil Sheikh is kind of the master of ceremonies as far as the competition is concerned. So I will be your host for the venue here. We are located at Dunwoody College Technology. That's 818 Dunwoody Boulevard, Minneapolis, Minnesota, here in the United States of America. What I will tell you on the map here, for those of you who have been here, and I know most of you have been here, Wisconsin hasn't been here, obviously Stuttgart hasn't been here, but you'll see that we have a big parking lot to the west side of the main building. The main building here is kind of the shape of the letter H. This big area to the west side of the building is where we're going to be holding the competition. So we'll be holding the competition on this west side of the building over here in our parking lot. We will have 2 fields set up in that area. We'll parking and practice on the north side of the building up here, and then the competition on the west side of the building. When you get here that day, you'll come in, you'll check in the main building. We'll have signage and stuff, so you don't have to try to remember all of this or anything like that. You just got to get your vehicles to the campus, and we'll take care of you once you get to the campus. I'm going to show you a couple other pictures here. Well, actually, I was going to go into a little detail here first. The biggest thing I want you guys to be thinking about as you're coming to the Twin Cities metro area, there are a lot of options for staying in the local area. We've had teams that have really liked staying in the St. Louis Park area. St. Louis Park is a 3-mile drive from the hotels in that area to the Dunwoody College campus. The hotels are slightly more expensive, so about $130 to $180 US per night for a hotel. But what's nice about that area is if you can make that area work, there is a bunch of restaurants, bars, venues, entertainment, movie theaters. There's all kinds of stuff on that west end, right in the St. Louis Park area. Like I said, the hotels are just a slight bit pricier, but you can find like a Holiday Inn Express for about $150 a night, and even comes with a free breakfast there. If you're looking for something a little less expensive, you can go to the Brooklyn Center area. It's a little bit further drive. It's about 10 miles north of the college. But that area, you can get the hotels for about $50 a night cheaper. So the lowest I saw is about $100 a night, up to about $150 a night. So they're a little bit cheaper on that. But then I want to talk a little bit about what Case Western does. The Case Western team, I think, really, really has it figured out. And what they do is they do an Airbnb. And any of the Case Western folks, were any of you on the team last year that were here for this?
Yeah.
Ryan, talk a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, we have an Airbnb that usually has an empty garage that allows us to do a lot of testing like in the garage as a part of the Airbnb. And then we also usually go to a park nearby like the day before the competition and do like testing and stuff there. So it's assuming there's snow on the ground, which there will be. But yeah, so we do a lot of our like control system testing like in the garage of our Airbnb. So
I think one of the great things about what Ryan and the Case Western folks have done is by doing an Airbnb, it's a little bit more expensive per night, but it might actually be cheaper in the long run because instead of having to get, 4 hotel rooms or 5 hotel rooms, they're getting a house is what they're getting. And they can sleep everybody in that same house. They can go to the grocery store, buy a bunch of groceries, cook your own meals. So they can save a lot of money. Would you agree, Ryan? It's actually cheaper than probably trying to do hotels.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I highly recommend looking into that if that's something that you and your team want to do. If it's a small team, a hotel might work out great. But for a larger team, if you're over 5 or 6 people, I think that Airbnb is probably and even if you're smaller, it still may be a really, really good. You should at least look into it as a great option there. All right. So that's kind of your hotels, restaurants, etc. And I'm going to bounce into the workspace here. So the workspace, one of the benefits of being at Dunwoody is when you're here, we are going to do everything we can to make sure your vehicle gets on the snowfield. I don't care if if Stuttgart, if you show up and you have no batteries and we don't know what we're going to do, we're going to try to figure out how to get your battery problem fixed and whatever it is. If a team shows up and they've got a, broken plow mount, or if somebody's got a tire bad or whatever it is, you're going to be in our machine shop area. So you can kind of see what it looks like here in this picture. You'll see there's 3 of our plows sitting here. There's a toolbox. We got some of these, obstacle type cones set up in here. But we're going to have this whole area cleared out, and we're probably going to have to clear out even more this year if we have upwards of 12 teams. We may end up removing these lathes and moving them all the way down to the other end of the shop and actually having this whole space. It's about, I'd say it's probably about, it's got to be at least 200 feet long and probably maybe another, 60 feet wide or so. And for you guys on meters, 20 meters wide and, maybe, 60 meters long or something like that. It's definitely a large, expansive space. And what we'll do is we'll give you a work area. You bring your tools, you bring your bot. We're going to supply the power and everything you need. And if you forget a tool, we have a tool crib that's going to be stocked that day. So I don't care if you need a 10 millimeter socket, you need a heat gun, or you need a set of drills and taps. We're going to have all of that stuff available, and we'll have the people there with the expertise to help you make any repair you would need to make to your vehicle. The goal for the Dunwoody teams, above nothing else, is making sure everybody gets onto the snow and actually plows snow. So the team pit area, the tool crib, the machine shop, the welding. We are going to make sure that we're going to supply food both on Friday and Saturday. So this year, Sunil, we're going to do lunch for everybody on Friday. We're going to do a dinner at a reception on Friday, and then we're going to have we'll have a big lunch at an intermission time on Saturday as well. So there'll be 3 solid meals. What they've done in the past for the snowplow competition is they've opened up our cafeteria for coffee, fountain drinks, hot chocolate, anything you want any time of day. So time you get here till the time you leave, you want a cup of coffee, you want a cup of hot chocolate, you want to, go down there and get lunch, whatever it is, we're going to take really, really good care of you while you're here. So you're not worried about, where are we getting food, where are we getting drinks, stuff like that. All right. Then the timeline, just a little bit about the timeline for the competition. Obviously, today is the 6th of October. This will be your ASE or Autonomous Snowplow Competition kickoff meeting. In November and December, Sunil and his crew will be setting up at some point in time, just kind of fluid on this right now. They'll be setting up preliminary design review presentations. So more to come on that. The recommendation from myself is that the out-of-town teams arrive no later than January 15th. Depending on how much stuff you're bringing or how much stuff you have to figure out when you get here, you may want to arrive earlier than that. Friday the 16th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., we will be open for final qualification reviews. So you do have to get your vehicle inspected. All of the safety inspections, include size. We'll go over that in a few minutes. There's a whole checklist that you'll go through to get through final qualification review. And then that night on the 16th will be a reception in our McMillan Center here at the college. That'll be a time where you can bring a poster, set up down in the cafeteria area. There'll be dinner down there, heavy hors d'oeuvres. You can snack, you can eat. Sunil and his team will have some presentations that they'll go over. We likely will have some of our sponsors that want to say a few words. But then Sunil and his team will also go around and they'll actually talk to each team individually. And that is part of your score that will be built into the competition. So Friday is really the first day, and it's FQR inspections, reception, poster presentation, and you will receive part of your points and part of your score on that Friday. You may not see it until Saturday morning, but you will receive it on that Friday. And then bright and early on Saturday morning, the goal is to get snowplows going as early as 8 a.m. So we're going to be setting up snow fields. We're going to be actually running plows at 8 a.m. We'll have a morning chunk of the competition where everybody will get a chance to run their plow. And then we'll have an afternoon chunk of the competition where everybody get a chance to run their plow. Somewhere in the middle, we'll have a lunch. I write 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., but we'll probably open lunch early, maybe 11:30, and we'll probably keep it open until 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So we'll have a nice lunch there that you guys can, January 16th and 17th. Yes, those are the 2 days you want to make sure that you're on campus here. And then that night, the 17th, there will be an awards presentation. So I will tell you, it's a lot. Those 2 days, it's a lot. You're here all day Friday. You're here all day Saturday. If you manage to get through the FQR inspection quickly, you do get a little bit of a break in between. But you do want to get through that FQR inspection early, because what you don't want to do is show up at 3 o'clock for your final qualification, your safety inspection, and discover something's wrong and you got to fix it. Now you're pulling an all-nighter trying to figure out how you're going to get that thing on the track tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to be done talking for a little bit. I am going to turn it over to Sunil Sheikh. I do have a slide with your new field there, Sunil, but I don't know if you want to talk at all about the general competition stuff first, and I'll just kind of go through the slides.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And welcome, everybody. Again, my name is Sunil Sheikh, and thank you all for joining. It's super exciting to be here for our 16th competition. Some of you have been here since the beginning, which is awesome. EJ, I'm looking at you. Other people are brand new, and if you're brand new, don't hesitate to ask questions, reach out to everybody and find out what's going on, as well as find out from existing players and possibly some of your previous players that were in your school. So for that, let's go down through a few of the items that people might have questions. We do have a preliminary design review in the November-December timeframe, and that's typically used for a way for us to evaluate the teams, how you're doing. Is your vehicle coming along? Is there anything you have questions about that you need from us? So think of that as more as for your benefit than for ours. Although, I just got to get this. I think there is a score percentage of that. It's very minor. It's usually in the 5% level. And we use that primarily to just see where the teams are at that point in the competition. That said, the other part that EJ mentioned, We're getting the rule book to come out here fairly soon. That will hopefully possibly yet this week, and we'll send that out to everybody, and you'll be able to review that in your give us feedback if there's any issues that you found, as well as immediately understand. However, the existing rule book is going to be very similar. EJ, maybe if you go to the next slide, we can start talking about that. So this is a competition layout, and the way we've assembled it this year is very similar to the previous years. The field is shaped as a T, or which we call a T. If EJ, you can show that. Great. What we've done this year, which is new for all those who are coming back, is added 2 more squares to the field that you have to plow. And those are, I don't know if you can highlight those, EJ, but they're shown right next to the garage. And those are the new ones that we've added this year. So there's 2 more to plow, but at the same time, your overall the field is about the same. It's the same dimension, length and width, as well as what we have is the starting point and the plowing zone. So let me just try and go through a few of the elements for people who are not familiar with it. We have the teams stand at the start of a run for a year, or let me back up one step. In this plan, we're going to have 2 runs in the day. We try to get everybody running as much as we can, and as everybody run at least twice. We don't think we can do more during that day, especially with the number of teams that are there, but we don't want you to be in a situation where you travel all this way and then are unable to run in some case. So EJ and his crew have always been excellent at providing the capabilities to fix parts, develop any repairs that are necessary, and get you out there onto the field. The teams that have done well in the past, as EJ have said, have come early, get set up, get running, and then go through what we do on the Friday, which is the final qualification. That we'll come back to that in a minute. But for those who are learning about the competition itself and what happens on the day of, you would be coming down and getting into the team zone. The vehicles would be placed at the starting zone, and then we would initiate a run. This year, as I said, we put 2 new squares right next to the garage, which is going to be somewhat competitive because it means you will have to start your plowing right away. So for teams that have not done that in the past, you'll see how different that is. The other wrinkle that we've added to the competition this year is we're increasing the penalty for the fixed posts. EJ, if you just want to run back to your photo in the shop there, I can show the teams those. So again, for those who have not been there before, we have a fixed post inside the field, right in one of the white squares that you're shown on the other field there, diagram. And we're really trying to emphasize this year that teams do not hit that post. So we've increased the penalty there. We have, for those of you who are playing at home and trying to figure out how to win this game, we did not change the points. There's a second post outside the field. EJ, if you could run back, we can show them that. The point is this year is we want to stress your ability to be able to plow as soon as you come out of the garage, which is much more representative as a driveway that would actually hit the snow and the vehicle come out and start plowing. And then the sidewalk is represented by the long shape of the T. But also if there's, as EJ has placed there, there's a little, let's assume there's a little post, or in one of the squares, there's the post, and that post is to be avoided at all costs to ensure that you don't lose as many points this year. Okay, so the new field layout is going to be coming out into the rule book. The rule book we hope to have out this week for everybody. There shouldn't be too many other surprises in there. Those are the 2 main changes that I just want to make people who are aware of the event in the past are familiar with. But those who don't know it, the overall layout is there provided for you. You are, let's say you are required to push the snow into the plowed zone. If you can point that out, there you go, EJ. And then maneuver in the 2 other areas, the top and the bottom on this image. The idea is you're trying to control where you're placing the snow, not only just removing it from the squares that are shown there. And judges will be coming after your run and comparing what was there to begin with to what is left over and where the snow has been. And then, of course, going through the other types of things they'll be recording, including the time, the hitting the posts, all those types of issues. There you go. So
Neil, can I jump in with a quick question here? Movement is not restricted in the plowed snow zones. You're not forbidden from maneuvering in that area. Is that correct?
that is actually right. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Richard's part. Let me just introduce Richard as part of our competition committee, and he's been involved with this for a number of years. He's just pointing out that the vehicle is allowed to maneuver anywhere within the blue lines. That's the blue boundaries are where you cannot go outside of, and there'll be penalties if you hit the blue boundary. That's the intent there, is that you're controlling the vehicle well enough that it doesn't go outside those areas. You maneuver, however, the snow into the plowed snow zones, and or I'm sorry, let me use a better word, that you push the snow into the plowed snow zones and then move your vehicle as needed anywhere within the blue lines, but you avoid putting snow into the maneuvering zones. Is that clear enough, Richard, or what you were trying to say?
yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A quick clarification question, Sunil. Now, does the garage space count as a combination of maneuvering zone? Are you also allowed to push snow into that garage zone space?
Great question, Andrew. We did not penalize this year of any thought of pushing snow into your garage. If you want to store your snow that you've pushed inside your garage, that's going to be up to you. So, yeah. Conceptually, if you imagine, you would try your best for have a robot not bring it back into the house, but in this year we have not penalized for that. But that's a great question, because that is something we considered and may introduce into the new years.
So
Richard, you want to add something?
Yeah, in the past, we've had teams that have come out of the garage and then just driven straight down to one end or the other of the eye. And that would end up with a significant amount of snow in the maneuvering zone. Is there a specific penalty for that this year, or?
No,
yeah.
we did not restrict the strategy at all through this new layout. The teams could choose, as Richard's pointing out, you could go down the path of the T and plow as shown here in the arrows. However, you could opt to go all the way around and plow from one end to the other, if that's your strategy. There has been quite a lot of different strategies over the years for teams choosing it for one way or another. It could be related on their method of navigation and how they're determining the sight lines of the layout of the field, or it may be better for them to maneuver closer to the boundaries and use those as the edges. It's your choice. We're not penalizing you this year at all for choosing one way or the other. It's meant to be creative in terms of how you move the vehicle out into the playing field and then push snow wherever it needs to go. Okay.
One more point of clarification, Sunil. So, depending on how exactly the snow is maneuvered into those plowed snow zones, I can foresee where there might be cases where snow gets pushed outside the blue boundary, either on accident or on purpose. And how is that handled, those situations?
Again, great question, Andrew. There's no penalty for moving the snow outside the boundary. What the penalty incurs if any part of your vehicle goes outside the blue line. So think of the blue line as an imaginary line. It's physical in the actual field, so we can see it happening. But imagine it's an area that the vehicle couldn't actually go there. Perhaps it's the side of the house, for example. And that the snow could be pushed up against the house, but the vehicle wouldn't go there. In this case, the snow can go over the blue line and into the outside area. So the intent is to generally move the snow into those areas as best you can. But if something comes in that way and touches a boundary, it's not a penalty there.
So we'll have line judges watching for any portion of the vehicle to pass that line. So even if the snow has pushed the physical barrier, we'll be watching for the vehicle to cross that line.
Very good.
Yep, that's correct. Okay, so we wanted to share the new field layout for those of you who are working today on your strategies, your development, how you're going to process that, and it'll be inside the new rule book that we'll be sending out here very shortly. So EJ has brought up another slide here related to the final qualifications. This is meant to, again, be something that's not necessarily restrictive for any of the teams. We're primarily focused on safety and ensuring that we have a vehicle that's out there that is going to be in, especially since there's going to be public and volunteer in the competition, around the competition, and it's a safe vehicle. So for example, the size of the vehicle, the speed of the vehicle are listed, and we ask that you go through this qualification on Friday of the event that allows you to show that each of these categories are met correctly for your vehicle. Some of it is inspecting the vehicle physically. Others are looking at the software that you're using to ensure that there's, for example, restrictions on the speed. Others are how you're going to operate and how you're discussing that. It's meant, again, to be safety focused, not restricted to you. And we have had teams that have struggled primarily in one of the biggest areas over the years anyway, is the wireless kill switch. And people don't test that to the dimensions that we say there. The 50 meters there is used to roughly from one end of the field to the other, but it actually goes much further just to give us some margin of error there. And we ask that you look through this list, I've written down here, you study it and you test as many times as you can. And so you don't need to wait for us to run through this test. You can have perhaps a mentor or a colleague or some other students run through the list with you and just ask you to show all of this so that you're prepared when you come on Friday to do that. So Richard Taylor is typically along with a few of the people at Dunwoody, run through this and are the judges at that time. Richard, you want to add anything else that I didn't cover?
Yeah, I did want to kind of quickly step through a few of these things. As far as the snowplow vehicle's speed limit on the left-hand column near the middle, we typically like to look at what you have in software to prevent your vehicle from exceeding that 2 meter per second limit. But there have been teams where it simply doesn't work that way. So the goal here will not be the goal will be to demonstrate that your machine can't exceed the speed limit. And in some cases, that has ended up being the specifications of the motors and description of the gear train so that we know how fast it can go. So it says software review, and that's the way we typically do it. But the real point here is you just have to demonstrate your top speed. Let's see, power source. If you have anything, any kind of exotic power source, we typically say that lead acid batteries or internal combustion, gasoline engine is not exotic. Anything else other than that, we will want to discuss fire control. So again, get the specifications, the manufacturer's specifications for your batteries, what they recommend for fire control for that. Next one, the physical kill switch. I think we have actually reduced that diameter from 40 to 35 because what teams were finding was that they were ordering a 40 millimeter red button, and when it arrived, it was 38 millimeters. But that's already a reduced specification, so make sure that your button is 35 millimeters across or more. We will be disinclined to reduce that spec any further because we really want a big button to press to turn the machine off. Wireless kill switch, one of the we've had a couple of problems in the past where antennas have fallen down inside of metal boxes and completely disabled the kill switch. What we prefer is that you have a kill switch that's active, so it's constantly transmitting, and if your machine loses that signal, it stops, rather than something where you push the button to send a signal to stop. Let's see here, lasers, no fluids, again, The power and ground. Okay, I think we've removed the ground requirement. Is that's so it's basically just
Sure.
yeah. We'll want to talk about your batteries. Let's see here, and yeah, uncommon hazards. We didn't want to try to list everything that you could possibly do that might confuse people who are on the safety crew or something like that. But anything that you can think of, again, exotic batteries or anything of that nature that you can think of that we might need to be notified about. It's not necessarily going to be illegal. It's mostly a matter of making sure that people understand so that no one gets hurt. And I would say to everyone, I want to repeat something that's been said. If you have any questions, make sure that you speak up. You don't get any points for being quiet. You get points for being right. So you don't get points for being quiet. So that's all I got.
Richard, could I just ask you to add one more thing? Could you talk about the ergonomic safety?
Oh, right. Yes. Right. Thank you. Yes. We will also want to see what I've totally forgot about that. Thank you, Sunil. What you plan to do if your machine should somehow lose power. We've had teams doing some very, very unsafe methods of trying to lift their machines up, bending at the waist and yanking up on a 400-pound machine. It's just like, So yes. So if your power source just completely fails, show us how you're planning to move the machine, and you'll want a cart, or maybe you remove pins from your drive shafts, and then you can just push it. It'll freewheel, something like that. But show us how you're going to move your machine without hurting yourself if it fails. Thank you, Sunil.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do want to stress that we don't. Again, the safety is a primary aspect of what we're trying to accomplish here, as well as during the actual competition. As I mentioned, you'll have your teammates there, you'll have judges, you'll have volunteers, you'll have the public there. We don't want the vehicle to be in any situation where it could actively hurt anybody. Never had that happen, so we don't want to have any experience with that. But also at the same time, we're more concerned about your activity around it. It's exciting at the competition, and that excitement sometimes adds a lot of adrenaline, and it creates a situation where people might be doing something quick to try and address the situation that you're running your competition time-based, or you might be jumping over a plow or things like that, and we just want to make sure it's okay to just take a deep breath, calm down, and focus on what needs to be done. And lifting the vehicle is one of those categories of, we don't want you to do that just to have a situation of where you're trying to win the competition. So that is on Friday. We do this final qualification, and we run through that so that you're all qualified. After that, you're done. Woody and EJ, maybe we'll run back to your diagram if you don't mind. I'm sorry, the map you have of Dunwoody. So one of the nice aspects of having the competition held at Dunwoody is that they have a nice heated inside garage, which you can workshop that you can go for. But he also has the team practice area, which is a area that you're able to run your vehicle on actual snow in the parking lot and in large areas, and basically set up your own simulated field that you can practice. You'll be able to look at the actual setup on the area where the snowplow competition diagram label is in the diagram right here. We'll be on Friday setting up the competition, setting up the boundaries. You'll be able to come and look at that, but because the volunteers are there and during setup, won't be able to have any of the teams practice on that part of the field. Instead, you'll have your own practice area that you can go and do as much evaluation as you would like, especially if you've already accomplished the FQR qualification and you have the rest of the day to continue to study and practice. We ask that everybody stays there through the evening on Friday, because we have the sponsor event, and the second part of your competition score is this team poster. We ask you to bring any type of setup that you would like, either say a 3 foot by 5 foot poster, or some teams have used an iPad with videos that you are able to present to sponsors or judges that will typically walk around and just ask you about your vehicle. So we ask that EJ's team will set up some easels or poster boards around the room and allow you to put yours attached to them. And sponsors will typically walk around while they're having a snack or hors d'oeuvres, as mentioned, that they will then ask you, how did you set up your vehicle? What type of navigation system do you use? What are your experiences on building it? How many pizzas did you eat during the development? That was a common one that they always ask. So there'll be part of it is for fun, part of it is for a nice time to get together and meet everybody. But at the same time, the other part is an opportunity for you to present, because again, this is meant to be a student competition and give you that opportunity to present in public. So given the fact that sponsors are there usually that evening, and many of them are interested in new hires, it's also a great opportunity to investigate them and find out if your interests lie within that company that they're investigating. So I just have a couple of quick bullets, EJ, that I'll go over.
About
go ahead.
This point, a question about the posters. Are we allowed to place our sponsors, which are supporting our project, on them, or for the?
Absolutely, yes. Feel free to do that. That we encourage that. You can add your sponsors to your vehicle. Many teams like to put it on the plow itself, or on a part of the vehicle that's very obvious to the public. And we will typically have TV news stations come in. We'll be taking videos and sending that off to their news station to either show on the local news or larger news. There has been groups like YouTube channels that have come in and done their own videos to investigate how these are progressing over the number of years we've had, and demonstrate that. So I definitely encourage you, if you've had financial or other type of support from a sponsor, please feel free to call them out on your posters.
And about the vehicle, we are allowed to use rubber trucks instead of wheels, right?
Rubber, I'm sorry, I missed that first part.
Yes.
Rubber. Great, thank you, Richard.
Yeah, like snowmobile tracks. Just so long as there aren't any metal studs, that is allowable. Yes.
Okay,
the word I was missing is track there. Yeah, we ask that you don't have metal, mainly just to potentially mar up the driveway or the parking lot that they have there, that they could actually damage the surface. But you can see here we have some very knobby or very high track or high tread, if you will, on the different types of tires. We have had a number of teams that have used tracks, and those have been quite successful. But it's up to the teams of how they want to pull that design together. Again, reaching back to the idea of the preliminary design review, the PDR, that's a great time to show a sketch or some layout of your vehicle of how you're planning to run, and the existing judges that have had a lot of experience of these will be able to share their recommendations, not try and change your design, but just give you some pointers about based on what we've learned over the past to help you be successful. Again, going back to what EJ said, the competition isn't designed primarily around who's the best and how can we show who's the best. It's primarily to move all the technology forward, all the ideas and all the capability forward, so that eventually, as we're starting to see in the market now, there could someday be an active, real commercial snow plow device for either home or commercial use. So these are some great images that EJ is flipping through here of the field, the way it looks like. We always have the best spectators of the people up on the highway there. They always, at some point of the day, they're always honking their horns if we're out there working. There's also the public that will be around. We have pedestrian barrier wrapped around the two competition fields. And we didn't make that clear in the beginning. We actually set up two of the fields you will see, and that way we can run either back-to-back runs, meaning one right after the other, or if we have enough teams this year, we might have more than one running at the same time, which is just fine. We can handle that given the great volunteers that we've had in the past. There, as you can see from this shot that EJ is showing, the workshop area is up on to the left there, and you drive your own vehicle all the way down into the competition area when you're ready to go. EJ's been, and his team has been real great at getting the team scheduled as well as coordinated of when we're going. One of the things we also mentioned that no matter what happens, it's somewhat a challenge that some team may not be able to go in the chosen order that we select at the beginning of the day. We won't tell you that order before the competition, but we'll try to get that out to the teams as soon as we can, so that you know the order of the day. But if you're unable to make that, we'll certainly work with each of the teams to be able to make sure you have a run. I did have one question out to, let me just jump around in my notes here. We've had active scoring in the past year. We're going to try to keep that going as best as possible, so teams are aware how they're doing and where they are compared to it. We, as EJ said, will at least get the PDR and poster session scores up by the Friday evening of the sponsor presentation event, and then Saturday morning and Saturday lunchtime we'll try to get the updated scores so you know where your standing are before the afternoon. Well, during the Saturday lunch, just for all the teams just to think about, and then to be able to share back to your university, we always try to do a photo of the entire group that's together, including the volunteers and teams and their vehicles, if we can get them all fit in there. And that's a great thing to share with oh great, EJ's got one right up there, that shows the competition to each year. The competition was originally started by the Institute of Navigation, which is that's an international navigation professional society, and they've been a continued sponsor through all these years, and they've used this as their own marketing for their development, and certainly for the groups that are out of our country, still the ION is part of the international cooperation of navigation societies, but we would like to be able to share that with ever your organizations are interested in seeing what you've been doing, as well as the level of effort is for here. The last one I have here is related to our friends that are traveling distance. I believe, EJ, you were talking about border crossing and customs and sending equipment over early. Any team is welcome to do that. We try to store anything if you need to ship early, or bring your vehicle with you. If for those that are coming across the border, we've had very successful situations in the past. We don't anticipate anything, but if you are starting early to plan for that and organize how that's going to be done, if for example, if University of Stuttgart is going to be shipping their vehicle first, any opportunity to do that early is welcome, so that we know that your vehicle is here when you arrive. I think that's just about everything I had in my notes, EJ. I'll just put it out to the rest of the committee members. Is there any items that we just wanted to add to what was already discussed by EJ and I? Patrick or Richard?
Any points that I had were already discussed.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, same. You covered all the PDR information too, so it's great. I'll just reiterate and echo, big welcome back to our returning teams, and especially a big welcome to our new teams too. It's always awesome to see new teams join the mix, and hope you all really have a fun and great time with this, and get a good chance to do some fun engineering and learning along the way too. So welcome.
Thanks, Kristen.
Richard, any?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to mention a couple of things. So the weather can play havoc with this thing. We've had no snow on the ground and it be 10 below zero. We've had it be 30 degrees above zero, sunny, and snow everywhere. As long as it's not 70 degrees out, we have the capabilities at the college to make snow. So as long as it's cold leading up to the competition, we do have a snowmaker here, and we will make snow. I might have shown you the video here, or the picture. Let me do this. Oh, crud. You might have seen me scrolling through at some point. You saw the snow thrower making snow. So as long as it's cool, we'll be making snow. I will remind people that it could be very cold. There's been mornings where Sunil and I are out there and it's 10, 15 below zero. Dress warm. The worst thing you can do is wear tennis shoes, and we will have the nice hats. You can probably see them behind me. I've got my collection of about 10 different hats up there from over the years. We will have our sponsors will be providing a really nice warm hat, but make sure you have gloves, make sure you have layers, and probably the biggest thing is good socks and boots. Good socks and boots will go a long ways at keeping you warm out there. We've had folks showed up in tennis shoes. That being said, don't put yourself in danger. You're no more than 50 yards away from a warm building. So you can obviously go in there and warm up, get hot chocolate and stuff like that, but we don't want anybody getting frostbitten while they're here either.
And just to be sure for our international teams, it would not be totally beyond the pale to see a temperature of minus 25 C. So you want to make sure that you're ready for that.
That's all I had, Sunil. I don't know if we want to open it up for questions from the teams. I'll put my I got my nice little ChatGPT helped me put together a nice little. I just put in robot ? And shovel, and that's what I got. So
nice. No, I just again we wanted to thank Dunwoody, EJ, and his entire team for hosting again this year. We're really excited about another event there, and as I said, 16 years has been a long time putting this on and together, and still hope very successful. As Kristen mentioned, welcome again to all our new teams, and really welcome to all the teams that have been there before, as well as returning team members. We hope that it's going to be another great year. So I think, EJ, let's open it up for any either logistics questions or rule questions or any questions you have about the competition itself.
Liam's up. Go ahead, Liam.
So you had mentioned that you are increasing the like the penalty for hitting the obstacle. I know you did this last year. Like I think it used to be 10%, and then you made it 20% deduction. Is it still 20%, or is it now higher than that?
I believe the year before it was 15%, and then last year went to 20, and then through a lot of deliberation, we went up to 25%. So that again is intent to be a penalty for the hitting the post inside the field. Now, I don't want to discourage any of the teams that think they may not be able to negotiate around that post. Remember, the rule is the post cannot be struck at or touched by the vehicle. Snow can land on the post, so you can push snow into that area if you're plowing, and likely you will, because you won't be able to completely clear it in there. The intent is we're really focusing. Most teams have done well in the past on navigating the course. Now we're trying to get to have even more accuracy, that you wouldn't hit something in the field of play. Think of it also, eventually we'd be getting into the ability of the vehicle to be aware of other items in the field, such as a person walking. So those are why we're stressing those aspects this year. Hopefully that's not going to cause you too much.
I did have a picture up there of both posts. The orange one here represents the fixed post in the snowfield, and the yellow one is the one just outside the snowfield.
Yeah.
And Sunil, are the penalties the same for both posts, or are those different this year?
Great. No, they are different this year. That's the first time we're doing that. It's more costly or more penalty for the one inside the field. So in this case, it would be the orange post would have more of a penalty than the yellow. The yellow is the same as last year. We did not change that.
And they're individual penalties. You can get both of them.
Yep. Some strategies are to plow them both down. So that can continue to be your strategy. We don't want to discourage creative thinking. Any other questions?
I think Andreas from Stuttgart has a question.
And yes, about EJ wrote this in the email, but maybe for everyone, when we have if we have a reference station and use RTK, where can we build this up somewhere? And are we going to get the coordinates for it?
So that's a great question. We in fact have another team that was asking a similar question. What we've done in the past is we have an area called the secondary navigation aiding source, not right on the field of view field that's shown here, but actually outside the field is an area where we block off so that nobody disturbs it or nobody, but it's near the field. And typically what teams have done is set up a reference station or a base station for GPS and allowed that to run as soon as they can in the morning and also on the Friday, so it can get the coordinates it needs. It can get the its reference location in order to be able to share the corrections to the vehicle. So it won't not if that setup we've just to explain, we've changed that capability over the years. That we will not consider part of your field setup. Instead, that will be something separate, and we'll allow you to do that as soon as you're ready to set those up and probably get that running first thing in the morning. Does that make sense, Andreas?
Yep, perfect.
Do any of the Case Western folks, I don't know if this helps Andreas or not, but any of the Case Western folks, can you talk about the MinCore system or any of that might help others that are doing GPS technology? I don't know if Ryan, do you know anything about MinCores? I know you guys had an account last year.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not super knowledgeable about that.
I can add just a little bit. There is a free service in the state of Minnesota, primarily for agriculture, and it's meant for providing differential corrections to anybody who has an account. You do, I believe, have to register for an account. It's mainly just to avoid it being free to everybody. That you can receive those signals and correct your vehicle's position using those. Thanks, Richard's putting the link to that in the chat if anybody's looking at it. And you can use that as a correction. For Andreas, if you're using RTK, I don't believe they provide that level of capability for the correction. Instead, they do it just at the differential level. But it is something that still will help get better solution than regular GPS. So teams that are interested in that, we recommend you go ahead and do a little research for that, find out what you can provide or provide your vehicle for that, and see if that's a resource that you'd be interested in adding to your capability. There has been teams that have used that successfully in the past. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's great. I got the link. Thank you.
Perfect.
So when we arrive on the 15th for out-of-town teams, can we store it in the workshop that night?
Absolutely, yeah. Anybody that even if you arrive on the 14th, we probably won't have the pits set up for all the teams until the evening of the 15th. But if you bring something in ahead of time, we will make sure there's room for you in the shop, and then you can actually come work. You may not be able to do an official check-in like you will on the morning of the 16th, but absolutely, you just gotta find me. And for that matter too, if somebody's shipping something in, anything that you ship to my attention will end up in the shop. So like if Stuttgart's shipping in a crate with their vehicle in it, it ships to my attention at Dunwoody. I will make sure it gets delivered up to the shop. You guys can uncrate it when you get to the shop.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, closer to the event, EJ will share the working times for the vehicle, for the building, so you can access your vehicle and access the workshop. It isn't open 24 hours, but it is open quite a bit for those 3 days.
Alex has a question. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Just for the day of logistics, I know you mentioned, I think, lunch on Friday. dinner on Friday with the reception, and then Saturday lunch. And then is there another meal around the awards? I don't know if that was mentioned or not.
Yeah, we usually do. I think last year they did like a nacho bar with the awards or something. So they had like you could create a boat with chips and they had all kinds of guac and salsas and vegetables and things. So yeah, the plan is to do a nacho bar again with the awards. The only thing we won't have a dedicated meal for is we won't have anything on Friday morning, and we typically haven't done anything on Saturday morning either. So I would recommend if you're getting up Friday morning and if you're staying at a Airbnb or something, you might want to make breakfast there, or if you're staying at the hotel, eat the hotel breakfast, and then the other 2 meals each day, you'll be well fed both days. Any other questions for Sunil, more competition related, or for myself on the logistics side? The one thing I really want to say is if you think you can't do it, or if you think that there's something that's precluding you from getting here, please reach out to me, because I want to make sure that all the teams get here. I want to make sure all the teams compete. Whatever it's going to take, Sunil and I, we both want to see this thing grow. And I think we have the potential this year to have 12 teams, which would be a growth over last year. I think last year we only had 8 teams that actually competed. I think we had like 10 signed up at one point, but I think there were actually only 8 teams that actually competed that day. I would love to see 12 teams out on the field this year. I think that'd be incredible. We're going to have to squeeze them in, Sunil, but it's going to be awesome.
Yep. The hardest working crew that day is the snow pit crew, the one that's shoveling all the snow back and forth. But they like that challenge.
That's exactly right.
And they also stay the warmest that way too.
Any last minute questions for anybody online here?
In the gap, I'm going to throw in a last minute comment. Like I said before, you don't get any points for being quiet. Ask questions if you have them. Read your rule book carefully. Read your FQR checklist carefully and run it in advance so that we don't have any surprises. Our goal is to get you out on the snowfield and not to disqualify you. So ask questions, get her done.
I will send out this presentation to everybody via email. And then as soon as I get home tonight, I will also make this whole video available on YouTube and send out a link to everybody by tomorrow morning.
EJ, there's just one quick question from Chloe, I think, about requesting if there's a team from Montana State or the University of Minnesota, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yes, I was just curious. So they're close enough to come.
Yeah, absolutely. The University of Minnesota was a big participant for quite a while. Their robotics program director changed, and that changed a little of their focus. But they actually have, I guess, one of the only teams that created a commercial company. They actually have a autonomous snowplow based on one of the team members participating in this event. So we're always excited about that one. Montana State, I want to say,
or University of Montana, which is in Missoula. Montana State's in Bozeman.
Yeah, I think one of those had reached out to us years ago. I don't think they ever attended, but they have shown interest.
That's awesome.
If you have, or anyone has contacts for that, that's usually how we generate a lot of interest. We send it directly to somebody instead of the school. So if you have anybody please let us know.
I'll do some investigating later tonight or tomorrow.
Sure, thanks.
Welcome.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, I will promise you, you're going to get an email from me tomorrow morning with at least a link to this and the PowerPoint presentation, and you'll get another update email every Monday from me. In the next week or so, you'll also get an email with the new rule book. And as I get a chance, I'll update the website. But check the website. If anybody really wants to go back and look, all of the competitors are listed on the website too. You can go look at the website, and I think. I did the math one day, Sunil. I think it's been 50 different teams or 50 different robots from about, at least 35 different schools that have competed over the years. So it's absolutely amazing. We had 1 year, we had a team from Calgary that literally packed their robot up in in like luggage and brought it on the plane with them and then reassembled it at their hotel room. I mean, we've seen a little bit of everything. It's just amazing what the people have done I don't recommend that route, but they made it work.
I do have one quick thing. We'll ask EJ to add to the upcoming emails of when are available times for people or schools to do the preliminary design review. We try to work around your schedule as much as we do around the volunteers, because we know that's either a time that's heavy for finals or projects or holidays. So we'll try to make sure that there's availability for that. The other thing is just to let us know, or maybe send a note to EJ about if your school is in session around that time of the actual event in January, primarily because we want to make sure people are not, what the effect of your schooling is for your teams, to make sure everybody's in and out as quickly as we can so you can get back to school if you're in session.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions. And Sunil, thank you to you and your team for all your hard work you put into this. Every year, Sunil and I, we leading up to it's a ton of work, and then by the end of it, we're like, that was awesome. When are we doing it next year?
Yep, that's right.
So yeah, tell your friends, and if you know of other schools, let them know it's not too late to get a few more teams signed up for this thing. So thank you, folks. I'm gonna stop the recording, and then we should be good to go.
All right, everybody.